Hello everybody, I'll be here playing some Political Machine 2016 in light of the elections of the 45th American President. And let's see how it goes in an alternate world. I will be playing with, you know what, this will be the same. Starting funds will be cut down, game length will be about, long, yeah. Okay, those are the settings, and I just made that as a joke for your information. I will be playing as Bernie Sanders, who's my favorite. I actually wanted him to win. And we will have him go up against Donald Trump, as it should have been. Okay, so you can see that Donald has started out with a couple western states. We happen to have a clinch in Colorado, and obviously we're doing pretty well in the eastern states. Now, the premise of this game is obviously to win the election. However, you must also take into account the states that provide the most electoral votes. I believe it's this one. The brighter the color, the more electoral votes you receive. This, I believe California is 55. Yeah, 55. Texas is 38. Florida is 29. And New York is also 29. And Ohio, while it might not have that many, well, it does have a few votes, yeah. But while it might not be as big as the others, it's very important in the American elections because of how often it swings. And you can pretty much see that here. There's 44% Democrats and 43% Republicans, with 13% of voters are undecided. That's a very common theme in most American elections. So I suppose we should jump into the game, and what I first want to swing will be New York, obviously, because most leftists or left-leaning people live in the East Coast and West Coast, and I kind of want to score some New Yorker votes. So we're going to go off of Bernie's actual platform. So not necessarily support for Israel, although that would be beneficial to support. We'll be going with addressing climate change and reducing the wealth gap. And you can see that I just got 7% support there, but my awareness is not very high. So what I must do is I need to put out some ads, but I do not have enough stamina. You'll see that is spent often when you're using these things. To move to a different state, it costs you some funds and it costs you stamina. And then we'll get into clout and political capital later. But for now, let's focus on flipping states. And you'll see that when you visit states, they get happy. And perhaps if they're close enough to increasing a percentage point with you, they can flip an extra percent to garner more support. Now, I do believe that Bernie did support fighting ISIS, but he did not support direct U.S. involvement. So I suppose that would technically favor fighting ISIS. So I suppose we could do that. And election integrity is a very large deal, especially in the Democratic primaries after what happened. So I suppose we should add that to his platform. As it pretty much was after the primaries, he started voicing more about less corruption in our system, just besides the primaries. So what we're going to do here, since he wasn't really in favor of coal mining in general, he is in favor of reducing unemployment. So what we'll do is we'll just hit that point, and we will do that. But we're going to stay in the state this next turn, because this is, believe it or not, in this game, it's mostly a swing state for some reason. Probably because the Democrats and Republicans constantly fight over this state. So we're going to go with reducing the wealth gap and addressing climate change, because we know that there's those coal voters here. So that's going to turn into dark blue later on, which we'll get to see. But here in Virginia, Confederate flag display is a big thing, and I don't believe that Bernie supported it. But what we can say is that Trump opposes it. fortunately, and that gives us support. It's not that I'm in favor of it, but it's that my opponent is not, actually. So, regardless of what I support, I can mudsling at them to garner myself more votes, which we saw a lot of, actually, in real-life elections this year. Securing the borders, Bernie was not in favor of, but we can say that Trump is not, as well. And that will give us lots of support. And now, what we can do is we can get smear merchants, which make it harder for the opponent to garner support in the target state, and spin doctors, which make it easier for you to garner support in that state that it is placed in. So what we'll do is we'll get a smear merchant and a spin doctor, and we'll keep them here in Ohio for a little while. We're going to want to go to Florida, because that is also a very important state that sometimes does flip. And Zika funding, I believe, Bernie talked a bit about. Whoa! That was actually unexpected. Okay. I didn't see that coming. Alright, so he just won an endorsement, and that gave him lots of support, as you could see. So now what we're going to do, we're going to hope that this is a good opportunity, which I doubt. Okay, yeah, it's good, it's good. Okay, so that increases my ratings in this state. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to end this turn, and we're going to go back to New York, right? And we are going to... let's go ahead and build an outreach center. And we'll do the same in Pennsylvania. This gives us more clout. So this gives us 2 clout per week, which will help us win endorsements, which is very, very important. So we will talk about fighting ISIS and election integrity here in Kentucky. We'll move on to Indiana. And apparently we have a couple interviews to go to. So we will appear on 60 Seconds. Tonight, a special report on the dangers of the internet. Whoops. Please don't show that. Whoa, okay, I guess that went away. The country has seen some unusual weather over the past few years. Polar vortexes and heat waves and droughts. What would you do about this? Let's go with... this answer. Obamacare has been contentious ever since it was introduced. What is your stance on healthcare reform? Okay, so Bernie is in favor of Obamacare, but obviously he does want universal healthcare. But unfortunately that's not an option, so we're going to have to go with the closest thing. And that would be in favor of Obamacare. And yeah, apparently we won a bunch of independents. You can see, even though he has a bunch more states than we do, we have a little bit more support. Now here in California is a very easy state for the Democrats to win. Now what we're going to do actually is put out our first television commercial. And this will make our presence more well known across not just the state but the country. You can see that Arizona flipped from red to gray. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk to the Californian people a little bit more about the environment and abortion rights. And then to stay even longer, we're gonna be addressing climate change again. And here's where you see the dark blue state. We now have 60% support in California. This pretty much means that it's mostly locked unless he somehow manages to flip it, which is pretty hard, usually. And what I'm thinking about doing is I'm thinking about saving up some of these points so that I could actually win over some of his right-winger endorsements. I was thinking about doing so with the Christian Confederation and the National Gun Owners Association, because I like to get the South into supporting me, but The other one, I can't remember what it was. The Tea Party movement, that doesn't exactly help me because I can't pander to that crowd. Now, we are in favor of legalizing marijuana. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk to the Oregon people about that, and we're going to sit in Washington for a week. And now we have a bit of PR built, so we're going to get a fashion consultant. Oh no, he got it! No! Okay, I'm going to have to get my own endorsements then. Okay, so we're going to get the unions, and then next we're going to get the civil rights. And we'll go speechwriter. And now, what we're going to do is we're going to do more speeches. This really helps the power of our speeches a lot. So now we're going to go back here to Nevada, which we haven't been to yet, and you can see that Illinois has flipped dark red. That's not very likely. And we're going to pander to the unemployed crowd. And that gives us 52%. And now we're going to try to go flip Illinois, obviously, because it just became super red, which is not good. So now we're going to be building a huge campaign headquarters. We're going to upgrade it, and we're going to create an ad talking about, let's say, election integrity. Yes, that will be our television ad. You can see that Iowa sort of flipped. We're going to go with a PR consultant. Yeah. That way we have a little bit more media bias, which is the opposite of what happened in real life, let's be honest here. Opponent, he opposes the Dakota Access Pipeline. It's not like I do, no. But we do support fighting ISIS. And we will go ahead and win over probably the Environmentalist Club. That way we could talk more to the green crowd. And now we're going to try to do a chance here, and it turned out good. So now we're going to talk about election integrity. That's going to be a huge part of this because it's very important to get those ones that have 3 thumbs up. Now this is going to be a hard race because Donald has a lot of money and I happen not to. So we're going to go over to California, which is sort of base of operations, and we're going to fundraise a bit. Going to get lots of money. Okay, so we just got $1 million. Alright, so now we're going to go over here, down to Florida. We're also going to get a, say, a consultant. Okay, and we will place increasing our ratings. Apparently we can't do that here. Oh yeah, we can. Okay, so we're going to be placing those 2 in those areas, and then next week we're going to start doing a bunch of speeches here. And what we're going to do for a choice here will be let's go probably, you know what, I kind of like the idea of having Jill Stein as the running mate, but Elizabeth Warren used to be the dream team in my opinion. So now we're going to win over Florida a lot more, and then we're going to move back up into the northeast to try to build more of a base. Yep, we will be raising that. We will fight ISIS. Now that state is dark blue. That's very good. And we will address climate change. And that did us pretty well in West Virginia, you could see. We will reduce the wealth gap, and we will reduce unemployment. And now we move to Ohio, which is arguably one of the more important states. Now we're going to pander to election security, and we will move on to Kentucky. We will win the endorsement of the National Civil Liberties Union. We will wait until we can afford another crowd. So we're going to go here, and since we have a little bit of media bias, this might help. Alright. So, it has been decades since America seriously invested in infrastructure, and now we can see the results in crumbling roads and bridges. What would you do about this as president? I would say most definitely this option. The United States spends vast amounts on money on its military. Can we continue to afford this? We definitely need to go for that option. And we receive a mostly very happy score there. You can see that independents are becoming more and more happy with us. New York we need to definitely win over. For the sake of popularity, we're going to pander towards Israel. Yeah, I really didn't want to do that. But what we're going to do actually is put Elizabeth Warren next week over here in Tennessee, because it gives awareness to all around the area as well, so that helps. And I assume that Trump just won that. That is very surprising. Okay, so we're going to go to Delaware. We are going to pander to election integrity, and we're going to quick move to New Jersey. And we will do election integrity once more, and fighting ISIS. We'll move to Connecticut, and also probably want to get one of these. Whoops. We will fight ISIS. Oh my goodness. This is not good. He has too much movement to keep up with. Definitely want to support farming subsidies here in Minnesota. We want to win over Iowa. Oops. Okay. So we're going to hire a spin doctor. And we're going to go here to Wisconsin. And we will be fighting ISIS. And our opponent opposes fighting ISIS. Okay. So spin doctor. No, why did I tell you to go there? Okay, instead you're gonna go here to Texas. You know what? We're gonna gun it. We're gonna go after Texas. Let's do it. We have really no other choice, to be quite fair. I didn't even see that. Wow. Okay. So now we have to go to strategic planning. If we manage to get these states, we win. So now we need to find some states that we can afford to sacrifice. I saw that these guys didn't really like us. So what we're going to do is we're going to desert those states, and we might win. Okay. I wasn't really planning on him having so much stamina. I never actually read up on his stats. So we're going to fight for gun rights. And we're also going to create tons of ads talking about this stuff. Okay. And we will hire an advertisement guru, because we're going to put tons of ads here. Gun rights, I favor. Probably reducing wealth gap, I favor. And securing the borders, opponent opposes. And that is a lot of money. That's good. Okay, so now you can see that we swung 10% of voters there, and now they're purple. So we will fight for your gun rights, and you can see that we're nearly winning here. And here in Pennsylvania we are winning, and in Ohio we're pretty much neck and neck, so that is not good. So we are going to want to fight ISIS. Okay, that's not good. So opponent opposes gun rights. Okay, we're going to have to leave it up to the advertisements for a while. What we can actually do... where is my spin doctor? Okay, she's not doing much good there anymore. So, we're going to put my smear merchant here. And... they're doing sort of good in Ohio. So now we definitely win Texas. So we could win with what we pretty much have. for the most part. And we're going to have to cut out Michigan, and it will be a tie. So that's sort of worrying. We're going to have to win these two, and that will help us, because I noticed that we have some support there. So what we're going to do is we're going to get us, and we're going to also hire a advertisement guru. We are going to give a speech about... Whoa, that's a lot of... Okay, I see what he did. He made it so that giving speeches here takes tons of stamina. Alright, that's a smart move, Donald. But that will not stop me from winning Ohio from you. Okay, so we pretty much win all the big states. So we should perhaps go back after a state in which... Okay, I don't have any money. So I'm going to wait till next turn, and I'm going to fundraise. And that'll get me enough to get to California, where I could fundraise lots of money. And now I don't have stamina to go to that media thing, but that's okay, because that's conservative. So we're going to do lots of fundraising. And then we're going to ship off to Minnesota. This is sort of our little hold here in the Midwest, would be Minnesota. And then we're going to sort of branch out. And this is the last week, so if he manages to win any other states, then that means that we're not going to do very well. So we're guaranteed Texas, we're guaranteed California, New York, Florida, and Ohio, as well as Pennsylvania, definitely Illinois, Minnesota, yes. Okay, so who's a bigger state worth more votes down here? Oh, that's not good. The Wall Street Times. I'm glad I lost their support. Okay, so electoral votes. Okay, so we're going to win Washington. Not going to win these states, definitely. It would be pretty nice to try to win North Carolina, but I'm quite certain that's not going to happen with just one speech. Election integrity. Oh, we could do two. Okay, maybe we could win this. And then... election integrity. No! Well, it's neck and neck, so next turn we're going to find out if we win or not. Yeah, I expected those. Okay, we won North Carolina. That's good. We might actually win this. So far, we're trouncing Trump. But once we get to those, like, far west, Midwest states, that might change. But we just won California, or Texas, my bad. And now he gets a whole bunch of states that aren't worth that much. And we manage to win exactly what we wanted to win. And there we win the election. There we go, boys. So Sanders has won the day and the presidency with a strong showing in both the popular vote and in the Electoral College. One of the deciding factors in Sanders' victory was his use of political capital, which he used more extensively than Trump. Sanders spent less money than Trump, which just goes to show that you don't have to buy your way to victory. Good lesson, kids. We had 87 million popular votes. That's a lot. Wow. And if we view the map, you could see exactly what states we pretty much went for. I made like a mid-game run after Texas, doing it as a joking way, but we actually won it, surprisingly. California was pretty obvious. Florida, around mid-game, that was pretty obvious. New York was obvious the whole time. In Ohio, that was pretty close, but not close enough. Washington, I was worried about because I saw that it was pretty gray, and I'm actually really surprised that Hawaii went Republican this election. You can see that really these two states don't receive much attention, mostly because they're sort of out of the way. Even for an AI character, they don't really put much importance, and their votes aren't that high. So one of my goals one of these days is to do a huge flush out, and that'll be crazy. And you can see here in the polls what issues I was stronger on than Trump, and vice versa. In total, people agreed with his opinions more than mine, but the problem with that is that the Electoral College does exist. And so now we have a Sanders president and a Elizabeth Warren vice president. And I want to thank you guys for watching my first episode, and I hope you come and see more. This was a tutorial slash episode 1 gameplay, so I hope you did have fun. And you know, politics is such a big thing, and I'm really happy they made a game out of it, which is really fun because it's one of my most favorite topics. So for those of you that are very interested in politics but also love video games, I highly suggest this game. While it can be kind of goofy and quirky at times, it is very fun to play. And I suggest that if you do like either of those two things, you definitely check out this game. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you next episode. Peace.